Are you a technician who wants to set yourself apart? Then the Trusted Technician podcast is for you. I'm Derek Hoferter, coach and trainer at SBE, and on this podcast, we will have experienced HVAC coaches and trainers, as well as top-performing technicians, all sharing their tips and strategies to help you be more successful. Welcome back to another episode of the Trusted Technician podcast. This is Coach Derek. We've got with us a return guest. I'm always excited when we get return guests, and it's John from Hopkins down in Florida. If you want to hear John's first episode, go to episode number 19. It's a really good one. John talks about upfront contracts and how he doubled his revenue from one year to the next by utilizing an upfront contract. So definitely check that out. John, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks, buddy. I'm glad to be here with you and spend some time with you today.
Yeah, I think that everyone listening, not only can they learn from your first episode, again, highly encourage them to check that out, but just with what we've been talking about recently, I'm excited, for what you can share and the insights you can share. So, John, let's just start out with the topic of motivation. It's a grind, right? It's, making it through the whole year is a battle. There's seasons, it's hard work. We all know that what you do is hard work. So, let's just start at the beginning, John. Like, how do you stay motivated and where do you find your motivation from?
Motivation is kind of an easy thing now for me because we have a second baby on the way. So that's always a good motivator,
It gets real.
Expanding your family. Yeah. And my wife, she's a great motivator and she supports me so much and she's really great. And my daughter, she's 9 and, she goes to a good school and I want to be able to do a lot for her that my family wasn't able to do for me. And so that's a really good motivator in my personal life, but professionally I have, some pretty lofty goals for the next 5 to 10 years. So I have to focus on those goals every morning for at least 15 minutes. And that really helps set up my day and get my attitude ready for the day. Cause I mean, let's face it, we don't always want to go to work, but we still get up, we still, perform, and we still have to provide for our families and provide for the other people in the business that rely on people that are selling techs.
Yeah, John, that's really good. You're talking about goals, and even with the way that you're talking about it, I think that goal setting is kind of an advanced skill in itself.
Yeah,
the ability to set goals, because I think a lot of techs who are listening to this maybe say like, well, how am I going to find motivation? I don't have goals. So you talk a little bit about goal setting and what you've learned about that.
Yeah. So back after that year that I did 1.8, I had a sit down with Chad, the owner, and, he was telling me that I need to really focus on goals because, he's like, I know you could do even better. Right. At the end of that year, I had like a little bit over $250,000 month in August of that year. And, he's like, I know you could do better. So I want you to work on setting goals and you need to read these things and listen to these things by these authors and it'll put it into perspective for you. So I read a book that he recommended to me. And the biggest part of that is just building habits and setting goals. And I did some other sales training that honestly, they touched on a lot of points that were in this book that was recommended to me by Chad. And a big thing is consistency. The most successful people in the world, they wear the same clothes every day, a uniform. They drive the same way to work or the office. They eat the same lunch. They drink the same coffee. They don't deviate from their route to work even. I mean, even if my route is freed up for 5 or 10 minutes, by taking a different road, I won't take it because I don't know that road. It's not familiar to me. It's going to throw off my game, And another thing that was recommended is you have to write your goals down and you have to look at it constantly. And that's where the app comes in, right? Because I have my goal. I'm looking at it daily. I'm looking at it constantly. Even if I forget to input something that day, I can go back and do that. But I'm constantly looking at that goal and I'm constantly seeing where I'm performing above and beyond what my monthly total needs to be to meet that goal.
Okay. So you mentioned you have some big like 5 to 10 year goals, but do you have like layers? Is there like the big goals, the 1 year goal, the 6 month goal, the daily goal? Like
Yeah.
where do the layers go in?
So, I have the daily goal, like to hit 2 million, I need, a certain amount every day that I need to do. I'm not going to do that every day. I mean, some days I do zero. I'll do 4 calls of zero because they're warranty calls or whatever.
Mm.
And then I make up for it the next day when I sell like a $15,000 air conditioner because, I'm using the process and breaking down what the customer really wants. We talked about that a little earlier. There was a customer last year, they got a price from a company we did an acquisition from. It's like a $5,900 train unit. I mean, really bottom of the barrel train unit. And I mean, train isn't a cheap unit. It's very expensive equipment. And I was asking him some questions. I only met him once. He emailed me 4 or 5 times before I went out there. And basically, I looked at the system for about 15 minutes and I knew by his thermostat, he kept it at 70 degrees all the time. He liked it very dry. He wasn't comfortable with the air conditioner unless it was at 70. So, I started talking about how that 5,900 was a big downgrade for him. And it was going to cost him a lot more money in the long run because the air conditioner is going to break more from running so much. He's going to have to set it at a lower temperature. So I really set the expectation of that $5,900. And we walked away with a little bit over 14,000 on that sale just because of asking questions and really paying attention to what the customer wanted there.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So I know daily what I have to make, and I know monthly what I have to make to do my goal. But if I go above and beyond, man, I'm super excited. I just keep going. Like I don't hit my goal for the month, and it's like, oh, I'm happy with that. It's like, no, I don't like the term greedy because I don't think like that, right? But I'm so excited because there's days that installers can sit home if I'm not doing my best,
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not doing my best, these guys are sitting at home. They have kids. Some of them have multiple children. So they rely on me and the other guys out in the field that are selling and, putting together these big tickets. These guys and their families, they rely on me. And that's another source of motivation. I don't want guys sitting at home. I don't want them struggling.
Yeah, John, yeah, because I don't think it's being greedy at all. I think it's understanding your responsibility. I think it's being responsible. Like in an HVAC company, the technicians are the revenue generators. It pays for all the office staff, all of that comes from the technician. So I think it's having a very high level of responsibility for your role on the team. So I think that's good. So obviously, you're finding motivation through your goals. Do your goals extend beyond? Obviously, it's really good to have revenue goals because that's kind of the metric, and that's responsibility. But what about goals outside of necessarily revenue? Do you have those types as well?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of goals outside of just revenue. I mean, revenue is nice and everything, but I also like that we're expanding and we're doing acquisitions and we're acquiring, other small companies and really helping their customer base out. And I really enjoy that. And I really enjoy to be a part of the growth. And, in the future, that'll lead to other things outside of HVAC for me because I got some other things we're working on and I don't, it's not that I'm putting all my eggs in one basket, but I'm so confident in our growth here that I know it's going to build for the future for me. This is the only place I've worked and the only process that I've been able to follow where I've been able to like pay cash for a vehicle or eliminate significant amount of debt while still having a lot in savings. I could take off work and not worry about money because of just the SBE process and how that helps me make money and how that helps the company make money.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's good, right? Good to have an assortment of goals, just even if it's a skill, right? A goal of I want to get this skill, or the goal is I just want to get this experience or this exposure. I think that's good. Let's switch topics just a little bit. How does coaching fall in line with this motivation and goal setting? What to you is the value of being coached, and being a part of a coaching process?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Rich, our service manager, I talk to him daily about like different things I'm seeing on jobs. We talk about different things we're seeing on, the guys' pictures and House Call Pro and what they're seeing out in the field. And, we're trying to get feedback from them. So we started doing some role playing with them in our tech meetings, our biweekly tech meetings. So we can see that's helping a lot, right?
Hmm.
Just getting that experience and talking to somebody and role playing these situations out. Like there's guys that really last year they didn't have a strong maintenance average or anything, and our averages are way up this year just because we've been doing the coaching and going through with the role play, and it's even helping me a lot, right? We talked before, iron sharpens iron, and the more I help Rich coach guys, or the more Rich is coaching me in my downtime or the in between time between calls, that's helping strengthen my skill set. And, it's helping me a lot, but it's also helping our team. We have we have one of our new guys that we got through the acquisition. I mean, he's absolutely killing maintenance average tickets. Like his maintenance average ticket right now, I think is $2,300.
Nice.
It is nuts. The company, before we did the acquisition, they weren't getting any kind of incentive to do better, right? So they'd have a customer's unit full of nasty growth and it was in terrible shape. And it was just like, whatever. But now, you know, he's getting to do more for himself. He's getting to do more for his family. And he's not even been through SBE. He's just done our coaching here in the shop. That's all he's done. So when he goes through SBE, I got to watch out because he's probably going to do a million easy. He's
Ah,
just got a
nice.
great, humble personality. And I really like coaching with him. And it's so funny. He'll call me, I'll be answering phones on call, and he'll call me, "Hey John, sorry to bother you." I'm like, "Man, you're not bothering me. I love when you call me. I get to help you make money when you call me."
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
he's
that's
he's
cool.
just got a great personality. That's really coming through for me. It's really helping me just on a coaching level, and it's helping strengthen my skill set because I'm basically preaching to them the SBE process, and I'm reminding myself of things. Well, I didn't do that at this call. Like I probably could have made more money on that call if I did a little bit more, or if I
Hmm.
rolled out my red carpet, or if I asked the right question in this situation.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in one of the best ways to master something is to teach it. Right? Because it,
Yeah.
it really starts to give you got to think about it now from different perspectives, different angles. So I love the exercise, even in like service departments, of hey, somebody like learn about something and come in and teach it to the rest of the group. Like read a book and then come and teach it to the rest of the group, or listen to a podcast and come and teach it to the rest of the group, like as you understand it. I think that's one of the fastest ways to learn. So let's try to like quantify this and maybe get a little more detail. So in like a month or in a day or whatever measurement of time, like what's an appropriate amount of time to spend on coaching? Is this after every
Um,
call or once a week, or in your world, what do you think is a good amount of coaching?
so even though I don't really need to, I call Rich after like every call, right? Like they trust me to do the right thing and they know I'm going to
Hmm.
do the right thing and I'm going to have the right result, whether it's good for the business or if it's good for the customer or if it's for mutual good, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to take care of the customer and I'm going to take care of Hopkins air conditioning 100% of the time. But even though they trust me to do that, I still call him after every call, even if it bugs the heck out of him because I'm going over what happened. And he'll ask me, "Well, what could you have done different?" And sometimes I'm like, I really don't know what I could have done different. They were complaining about a $79 tune up being too expensive. I don't know what I could have done different. He goes, "Well, did you do this?" "Well, no." "Well, why didn't you?" "Well, it's because they were complaining about $79. Like I felt like
Yeah.
my time was wasted." And he goes, "Well, you did waste your time because you didn't do A, B, and C." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right."
So in your opinion, after every call, there's value in there, and it sounds like the coaching, is a lot of question asking. Hey, what happened? What went
Yeah.
on? What did you find? What did you see? What did the homeowner say? Right? Is that kind of in your mind a debrief should go?
Yeah. Debriefing to me, like what one thing I saw when we were in Arizona is when we went to George Brazil and did the tour, the one thing that stood out to me the most is like, I think there was 4 guys sitting at this kind of quad right when we walked in, and they're just following up with customers, right? Because somebody debriefed with a tech and they saw opportunity there. And like they sold 4 systems in a matter of 40 seconds. We were sitting there and I was like, boom, and a debrief is going to reveal to whomever, let's say, just for example, my service manager, it's going to reveal to the service manager something I didn't do or something the customer was expecting and we weren't able to perform for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to me, a debrief should be a thorough kind of walkthrough in about 2 minutes with whomever's doing your debrief, like exactly what happened. What was the customer's expectation? Where did we leave off? Is the system still down and for some reason, the customer didn't trust us to get it up and running, or we didn't secure the replacement because for some reason there was no trust with that customer, or the trust was lost. It's an existing customer and, we just threw a price out there because we thought they were going to buy from us and now they don't trust us.
Yeah.
So I think that's super important on a debrief to know all these things so that, office staff or field manager or whatever, they can reach out and help, kind of mull things over with the customer, or they can help the customer feel more comfortable with the process, even if it takes sending another tech out for free. Hey, can we give you a free second opinion? Maybe my field supervisor or one of the other lead technicians can come out. I know you weren't comfortable, or maybe you had some questions. Is it okay if we just come out, confirm the diagnostic for free? That's happened before, and then we wind up selling the system.
Yeah, I like that. There's so much opportunity if we're debriefing. It's communication, right? And getting help. Hey, even if you're at the top of your game, even if you're the best basketball player, the best track person, the best swimmer, best football player, you still need a coach, right? Because especially if you want to get to the next level, if you're motivated to improve, you need a coach. Okay, we just have a few more minutes, so there's another topic I want to get into. All these are related, but that's training, which is different than coaching.
Yeah.
And John, I know you take advantage of training. I've had you in some of my classes before. So let's say you get sent to a class or you choose to go to a class and you're sitting there. What's your mindset? What's your approach to training?
So I never want to sit in the last row. I never want to sit furthest from the teacher. I always want to be up in the front in the instructor's face because I want to absorb everything, because I get distracted really easily. I'm so easily distracted. Like I'll be talking to a customer and I'll just get distracted and I'm just like, I just tell them, I'm sorry. I'm like a little dog with a squirrel. I just can't pay attention right now. Can we back up? And they're like, they just start, I use that to make fun of myself, and it's an icebreaker,
Mm-hmm.
and that's super important. But my mindset during training is I have to be like a sponge. My boss paid for me to be there. Somebody is teaching the class and they're getting paid to be there, right? So let's say you as the coach, you coach a class of 30 guys and then they don't perform at all after. Right. And then somebody's like, well, Derek doesn't know what he's doing.
He's a terrible teacher. Like what's going on?
My guys didn't do any better. In fact, they're doing worse.
Yeah.
So, I take the stance of being super responsible with that. Like somebody invested in me, and that doesn't happen all the time. I've worked for way too many companies. I probably worked for 9 different air conditioning companies over my career. And I've been at a company as short as a month. And it's because they gave no training at all. It's just, here's a truck, bye, figure it out. But here we take the training to the extreme, and we even have like a little shed outside that's set up with a mini split and a horizontal and a vertical unit is going there soon. Like we take training to like the next level, and we want to do even better, of course. Like there's always ways we can improve. I mean, you guys built like a whole condo inside your building there in Arizona. So we're not at that level yet, but I have to be responsible when somebody else is, trusting me with their business to focus on that training, to focus on getting better, right? Because it's not just me. Like that person's relying on me, right, to do better. And that's the only reason they're spending money, So you could take a business that's almost failing, and then you get somebody who really pays attention and really wants to do their best, and they can change that company.
Yeah, I love the mindset, again, that you're talking about. I love the responsibility. Because I think like from a mindset perspective, you've got two choices when you're being quote unquote sent to training. The first mindset option is I'm being punished. This is, some type of punishment for my performance, or it's like, or maybe it's like an insult of like, you think I need training? Like I've been doing this for 10 years and I definitely see that in the
Yeah.
vibe of people in the room that fine, I'll comply. I'll sit there, but I'll sit in the back row. I'm not going to talk. You can just spot it, right? Or,
Yeah.
this other mindset of, man, this is a huge opportunity. Maybe I am super experienced and I only come away with two things, but maybe those two things change everything for me, right? Is that kind of how you
Yeah.
see it?
Yeah, like so I have been doing this man since I was 15 and I started working for Hopkins like right before the whole COVID thing, right? So
Yeah.
2020 and I've been here 4 years and I've worked for a lot of different companies and I had a lot of experience and I did pretty well. I thought $60,000 a year was okay, you
Yeah.
know. Like I always want to do better, but I thought 80 was great, I didn't think I'd make more than that. And then I started at Hopkins and they sent me to the training and I asked a ton of questions. And it really helped me understand what I was doing wrong. Because you could do a lot of things, or you could be a great tech and still be broke. You could be a brilliant mechanic and you can know how to fix everything out there. But if you can't communicate with customers and how it's going to benefit them and how you can help them, they don't care, how good your skill set is. So that was a wake up call for me with my first SBE training. And that really helped transform my life. Like I never thought I'd be able to do the things that I'm doing now, you know? I don't know. Life is so crazy how, you look back on kind of where you came from. Like when me and my wife got married, I was making $12 an hour as an AC tech and she wasn't working. And,
Yeah.
I had a TV and a mattress. Like we had nothing. And now we have a nice house and new cars. And, it's great, man. It's such a blessing. And I'm super thankful for the training. And without it, I wouldn't be able to do this.
Yeah. Well, John, that's why I wanted you back, because you motivate me, us getting to talk, that helps motivate me. And I will
Awesome.
say, from a trainer's perspective, from the perspective of someone at the front of the room, it tells me a lot about the tech if they come in and choose to sit in the back or if they come, and choose to sit.
Yeah.
John, the first time we met, I think in person was in one of the classes that I taught, and you came in and sat front and center. And, that and it's not always true, right? But it,
Yeah.
it definitely gives me kind of an idea of who I'm dealing with and, and what's going on. So I appreciated that about you. And you were very engaged in the class. You made it better for everybody. So, John, I know it's a work day. You got stuff to do. Thank you so much for giving up some of your time to share a little bit with all of us.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Trusted Technician Podcast. If you would like to learn more about SBE, you can find us online at sbeodyssey.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, we would appreciate it if you would leave us a review. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.